Good afternoon. We're about to paint the bowl now, and I'm going to show you how to paint the bowl showing the tonal values. You're going to really look now again with the dark values on the side as I get to the light values, and then I'm going to show you how to paint the dark values on the inside using acrylic paints. So the first thing you need to do is really to set up your palette. I have Mars black, I also have phthalo green, I have pale green, and I have yellow. So normally I would set up my little palette. I'm using a white palette so you can see it more clearly. I would set up my with palette with the colors that I see that's going on in the bowl. The dark phthalo green and the black is for the shades, and the yellow and the green is really for the lighter shade, the lighter values. You can definitely add some white in there too, on your palette, to make sure if you go over the line, you could make sure you include some white on your palette. So make sure you have that white there. I know you could barely see it because I'm working on white, but I did add some white in there, okay? Now, first of all, you're going to make sure that, as always, I normally get into my depth area. So using my palette, on my palette, make sure, of course, you get a good drawing first. I'm going to mix my paint. I'm going to mix my paint so as I can get a little bit of the green, a little bit of the phthalo green. I'm going to mix that in there to get my dark violet. I'm going to still put a little yellow in there so that it could be kind of, try to see if I can mix the color that looks more like the bowl. So I'm going to get my picture now, and with the stroke going right in this area, I'm going to get in my green value. Then I'm going to get my palette again, and then I'm going to lighten it up as it comes more to the top. I'm going to go in here with my yellow. I'm going to go more or less in an ellipse shape, the shape of the bowl, with my stroke. Remember now, we're going to keep the same strokes that we normally use, and I'm going to put some more yellow in there. And as you can see with paint, it goes a little faster. Coloring pencil, you have to layer and do a little bit more work. And now I'm going to put some of my white value, because as I get higher up in the bowl, it's getting a little lighter. So I'm going to come in here with my light value. I'm going to mix a little bit of my white in with that color to get more of a lighter tone. I'm going to mix some yellow in there too to make sure. Now here's what I tend to do to blend. If I have two colors working there, I would get my brush, I'd rinse it off. This is kind of what we call the dry brush method. And for these two colors to blend, I'd dry off my brush a little, and then I'd put the paint, mix that in there a little right in that area. So I would get my lighter value at the top. And then of course I can go back over it again when I'm more confident with it. I want to show more depth. Maybe this side is showing more dark values than this side because the light is coming in here. This is casting a shadow. So I can go in there with my black value, with my darker value, mix that in and put that in on this area to show that in there it's a little bit darker than on this side. So I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go and add some more layers onto my paint. And then I'm going to go ahead, as I told you before, and blend that in. So that's how we could show the darker value. I'm going to go back in there with my dark. I'm going to put the black in there to add a little shade. Now some people don't use black. Some people use in their painting, they would use a dark blue in that particular area. Now, if we're looking at the lighter parts of the bowl, even though the bowl is lighter on this part, it's light in this area, but it also comes with a lighter value because it's cylindrical. So you're going to show that form in that way. I have another brush here. It's a flatter brush. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to mix my paint. I'm going to mix my paint with my green and my yellow again. But I'm going to put a little bit of the darker value, and I'm going to come right up under here. And I'm going to get that value, but I'm going to put a little phthalo green in there. I don't want to get it too dark. Now I'm going to go again, the shape of my bowl. I want to lighten that up. So now I'm going to quickly get in there and add in my lighter value in that area. And I'm trying to stay within the shape of my bowl. So I'm coming in there. Again, I have a rim here, so I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave a little space for my rim. Okay, as you can see, if there's a mistake, you could always come back into it. Then I'm going to put my lighter shade going in there. But I'm going to rinse off my brush, dry it off, tap it into my, and then to blend the colors in, I can go this way or I can go this way, and so as to get the colors a little bit more blended. I can put more paint on the brush so as to blend them together. Now, where I see the white, I'm going to put some, if you look in here, it has a little more white. It has a little more white, a little too much on there. So I'm going to go and blend that in. So I'm going to get more into my lighter values as I go more into my bowl. And of course, it is a form, so obviously under here it's going to appear to be a little darker. And then I'm going to continue to blend in the colors of my bowl. Now to get my rim, I'm going to get a brush that would probably be a little bit more finer tip. So I'm going to get this one, and now I'm going to make sure I just get the tip of it with my white, and wherever I make a mistake, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put that in there, okay? And then now to show the darker value, basically the same thing happens on this side, and then I'm going to come in there and I am going to shade that area too, but that side has a darker value. I'm going to put a little bit of my black there just to show the darkness, to make a shade of the color. Come under there. I'm going to get my green now. I'm going to mix my two greens together, and then I'm going to blend in that area. Now I'm going to continue to paint exactly what I see happening on the form, and I'm going to fill in the rest of my form. Okay, so I'm not going to complete the whole thing because this is your assignment. I don't like to finish the whole thing because I like the students to do it themselves. I want to say with the shadow, once again, we are going to, this time we're going to do our shadow with blues. So I have some blue over here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my blue. And the same way we've been treating the shadow before, as you see there's shadow underneath here. I'm going to come under here with my dark blue. I'm going to get my darkest value up underneath the form. As always, with every other shadow, notice I'm trying to neatly go up under there. And then as I get away from the form, I'm going to treat this a little like a watercolor, because some of you might have watercolor at home instead of acrylics. I'm using acrylics. Acrylics are more thicker. Watercolor is more transparent. So I'm going to treat this a little. So I'm just going to rinse out my brush and use a watered out brush, just not too water thin, but I'm just going to, you notice what I'm doing? I'm using the water now to get my light values. You don't want your brush too wet, and you don't want it too dry. But I'm going to use the water now to get my values, remembering that for my shadow, remembering that you do not put a line around the shadow. And then I'm going to blend that out a little more. Remember, we're focusing on blending. Blending color now, and showing different values and intensities of color. And we're going to stop right there. And thank you.